It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Kern County. Today we are so lucky we get to travel up and down the state and visit the great counties of our beautiful region. Of course, Kern County being one of them. We are joined today by Richard Chapman, and he is the president and CEO of the Kern Economic Development Corporation. And let's talk about Kern County. I think folks don't realize what a terrific place it is, and I didn't know until you taught me that it's becoming a mecca for millennials. Who knew?
That's what we say, and it's all about millennials. As
Now,
you
who
know.
are millennials?
Millennials are born after 1982.
Born after us.
And you know that you're working with a millennial if they want a promotion within 2 weeks after hiring them.
Actually, I heard a funny story where a friend of mine who has a millennial child, they had an internship and they were getting a job and they were being paid $10 an hour for the internship. And they said at the end of the internship, they were going to ask for a raise to $20. a doubling.
I always offer to write letters of recommendation to anyone that would like their salary to be doubled.
My question, though, is why is it that Kern County has now been ranked number 2 for millennial job and population growth? I guess, who gave us that ranking?
That Bloomberg.
That's for real.
Yes,
That's
and
for
we
real.
take real data and use a generator from outside sources, reputable sources, and Riverside's number 1 in the country.
Not bad.
So what do we have in common? We're one over from LA, lower cost of living, lower cost of doing business. And I know LA has probably some good, humor about those two cities, yet they're overperforming.
Look, it is undeniable that for young millennials, for entrepreneurs, for those with a bit of a desire to break out, you can get so much more if you do go to Kern County, you do go to Riverside County. The thing about Kern County, people don't realize, it's just not that far from LA County. I mean, first of all, it borders LA County. That's the first thing. It borders it. And then, I mean, I'm LA based. I got here in under 2 hours.
Well, that's what we would, maybe we need billboards in LA attesting to that fact. And what we realize is that 100 miles, we sell it in minute drive time. Because 100 miles in LA, they're used to 25 mile per hour traffic. So that's the main thing, is promoting ourselves as Southern California, much like Riverside.
Now, the Brookings Institution, which is also a real think tank, they indicated that Kern County had the second highest job increases. This is interesting. Within a typical commute distance for average worker. Translate that for me.
Well, that's more related to the traffic.
But that's why I bring it up.
Access. We can't use excuses that we ran into traffic on the way to work. So it's usually 15, 20-minute drive time.
Which is nice.
Yes.
You also, in Kern County, you have cultural attractions. I mean, I understand that Kern County is it's become quite a mecca for the music scene.
We are Nashville West, considered.
Nice.
Buck Owens, Merle Haggard. More recently, then you have rock, like the group Kern. So yeah, there's a real appreciation, and we're starting to see additional music studios as well as film production. Again, lower cost, one over from LA. So there's a lot of the filming that takes place is actually in East Kern, high desert. So many of the movies you see.
And let's talk about housing, because we know that in the mid part of the last decade, Kern, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Joaquin. Boy, housing prices were exploding, and everyone was so happy because they were seeing their value of their home increase, and then the crash hit, and people were losing their homes, foreclosures. Now we're on the other side of that, but are we in Kern County? Because Kern County is kind of in the midst of a lot of cross currents. We have the oil industry, which is very important, yet gas prices are down. We have agriculture, which is very important, yet we're in the midst of a drought, and El Nino didn't hit Kern and LA County like we had hoped. So how's it looking?
Well, we are in some ways treading water, but one of the fact remains since '01, we're the fastest growing economy in the country out of the top 200 metros. So yes, housing price, we had the bubble, but actually last month, if you look at June, July, prices went up 6%. So we're probably about 80% to where we was were before the crash.
But the question is, do you even want to get to the 100%?
Right.
Because the 100%, some would argue,
Right.
was inflated. And in
That's
other
a good
parts of the
point.
state,
Yes.
it's a problem. I mean, in portions of LA County, house prices are now more than at the top of the bubble. And one could say amen, but the flip side is it sustainable?
Well, the challenge we'll always have is that we have a lot of land, and so if you overbuild, then that's when the inventory, we look at maybe under 2,000 available homes is a good place to be. But once you get the national home builders come back in, and then the challenge is always investor homes.
Right.
So,
and is that an issue?
It was back in the 2000s. Not so much now. You're seeing the influx retirees, young couples buying homes. In Kern County, over 50% of middle class and almost 50% of millennials can afford a home.
That's impressive.
Versus 15%.
What about outside the Bakersfield zone? Because of course, when you think of Kern, we're so focused on Bakersfield, but there's Arvin, and there's on the other side of the Tehachapi's, Ridgecrest, and so what about those areas?
Well, the metro area, the county's 60,000. Bakersfield is probably about 500,000.
Right.
So that Bakersfield is the largest city, but Eastern Kern is and some would argue is even more tied into LA. Mojave, Ridgecrest, it's right across down the road from Lancaster, Palmdale.
And
totally different economy.
And let's talk about that area as well, because is that the area where we're seeing the explosion in solar and wind?
Yes.
Because as I understand, even though when we think about Kern, we're so focused on oil, but the reality is Kern is looking towards the future.
Right. We are the energy capital of the country, we believe, because we have the world's largest wind and solar farm in our backyard.
What's it called?
The wind farm is Terra-Gen,
and
which is 1,500 megawatts, and then the solar project is BHE, which is Berkshire Hathaway.
Right, and Carrizo, the Carrizo Plain, which is up and slow.
Yes, that's almost as big.
Does it dip into Kern? I'm not clear, so it's separate.
Actually, yes.
Okay.
So the main thing, and we sometimes say tongue-in-cheek, we're the Texas of California, because we have oil, but we're also very pro-business, and we still deal with CEQA, we still deal with the regulatory framework at the state, but we also have local oil and gas permitting structure, and that's also conducive to the renewable energy. Renewable energy companies come here, and there's reliability and clarity in the process.
But is it, if I were to look at the Kern County map, would it be fair to say that if I were looking towards the west, that'd be oil, to the east would be
west
solar?
Oil and ag, yes. Solar and aerospace.
Right, there's the NAS out there, right?
Yes, correct, in Ridgecrest. Federal labs, I mean, you have researchers from all over the world there. And then in Mojave, you have aerospace and tourism.
What about, given that you're looking at economic development, what about the question of homelessness? Is that something that is on your radar? Because we are facing a homeless crisis throughout the nation.
Yes, definitely.
Including and especially in California, and including and especially Los Angeles County, which is not far.
Right. Well, interestingly enough, we are number one in terms of mobility. That means if you were born in the bottom 20%, the odds of you moving to the top 20% are higher here than anywhere in the country. So what we can consistently talk about is pathways, various pathways. And you can have, we were ranked number 4 for STEM jobs.
Right.
And those STEM jobs, 4-year degree or 2-year degree, various ways to achieve financial stability.
You're a great cheerleader for your county. He is Richard Chapman. He is the president and CEO of the Kern Economic Development Corporation. My name is Brad Pomerance. You are joining us on Charter Local Edition.